Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HowStreet.com.
I'm Jim Goddard. I'm speaking with Larry Reaugh, CEO and President of American Manganese. Welcome back to the show, Larry.
Always glad to be on the show, Jim.
You're going to be busy in Las Vegas next week, and I'm sure it's not just at the gaming tables. What's taking place there?
Well, there's the Metal Bulletin Conference. We've been invited down there to serve on a panel, and I've also got several meetings lined up with some of the bigger battery manufacturers, so that'll be an interesting place to be. And it's interesting that we get invited to a lot of situations now and interviewed by companies and publications around the world. And this is I really have an underlying excitement about what's happening with the company. Something's going to break loose here pretty soon, and I can't really say when. I mean, right now we've got markets that are suffering from the tariffs that Mr. Donald Trump has been imposing around the world. So there's a lot of uncertainty out there, but the reality is he always has an end game, and it always works out well for the U.S., and I expect the same thing to happen here. But in the meantime, we're working away at Cometco, and I know I've been remiss in getting a release out, but it's kind of like you have to make a decision. Are you going to put something out in a market that is like spitting on a fire? It's not going to help a lot. But we always have a lot of news. We have a lot of activity going on, and I like to mention all those in my podcasts. But what I do see happening is I do see that the demand for cobalt is not going to lessen. It's going to keep going up. I know that Tesla's talking about having a cobalt-free battery, and yet on the other hand, Panasonic is talking about using up 30,000 tons in the next 3 years. So Panasonic's their partner in their battery manufacturing in Nevada. So there's a little bit of a contradiction there, and I would say that the reality is you're not going to get away from cobalt in the battery. The efficiencies and the things that cobalt contributes to a battery they're not interchangeable. You can't bring something else in to do it. You can get a battery that'll work without cobalt, certainly, but it won't be as efficient. And so I'm not seeing a lot of worry on that part. I can tell by the interest in our process that a lot of that's to do with cobalt, and that's not lessening. So when we get down to Nevada, and I get to talk to some of the people and get their feelings on where they're going, what's happening. One of the companies that I talked to out of China, which is one of the largest, said they've been all over China and nobody has a solution like we have, and that's a real feather in the cap. And it just means that it's only a matter of time till somebody makes a move to either partner with us or license a country or something that's going to involve a major shift in the aspects of the company and the credibility of the company, and I think that's going to happen sooner than later. It's I've been there's so much news coming out on batteries. They're talking 125 million by 2030. Wow, that's tens of billions of dollars worth of cathode material, and it's not going to come immediately on the table. And somebody asked me in an interview today for another publication, where are all the batteries going to come from? And to meet the demand. And I'm saying, it's been 8 to 10 years that they've been making these cars. Those batteries are right now ending up in landfills or being smelted, and that's a whole business in itself. So that's just going to keep increasing. 125 million in 2030 means that there should be tens of millions of batteries that have reached the end of life by that time. So you just have to look at the dynamics. It's one thing I liken it to is you drill for resources and reserves to build a plant and produce copper or gold or nickel or manganese or any of those products. And you're working with a diluted material, which means if it's 2%, then in order to get the 100 pounds out, you're going to have to process several hundred tons. So in our process, we're going to get 100 pounds out. We're going to have to process 100 pounds of cathode material, and that's the way you have to look at it. You have to look at it and say, hey, this is these resources are calculated on your calculator, right? And you know what the chemistries are, and you know what's in the battery, and you know if you got 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 of those batteries, that's what your resources are you're going to put through the metallurgical plant. So it's not as comprehensive as developing an ore body, and so we're excited out here. It's certainly off to Las Vegas for that show. People just have to remember that when I say we're invited. We're not just paying up to go to a show, and so that's kind of my message, and I'm hoping that I'll be in touch on the phone while I'm gone, but I'm hoping that with some tangible results start coming from these conferences.
Larry, where are you traded, and how can people get a hold of your company?
We're traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol AMY. We're traded in the U.S. under the symbol AMYZF. And we're traded in Frankfurt under the symbol 2AM. And you can be reached at area code just 778-574-4444. You can send me an email at lreaugh, at amymn.com. Or you can go to our website, which is AmericanManganeseInc.com, and everything that we have is out there. People have to realize now that our patent is published, and so there's a tremendous amount of, if you try to go on there and download the patent, you'll find it's very slow. There's a lot of people looking at that patent. And so, what we say can be verified.
Larry, thank you so much for chatting with us.
You're welcome.
My guest has been Larry Reaugh, CEO and President of American Manganese. I'm Jim Goddard. Our conversation took place on June 22nd.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.